sinners, and saints. Dust off those horns and halos. It's time for Alan After Dark.
It's really been an interesting week, I gotta say. Sinners and saints, you all by now have figured out that I have really unusual things that happen to me. I don't know, maybe I'm more in tune to my surroundings and more sensitive to things. What do they call that? An empath? I really don't know much about those kinds of things, but maybe so. But with the holiday season kicking off and everybody I know at a higher level of depression, sadness, including myself, I have been going more often to happy hour. Quite a few more days I've been going the past couple of weeks. And on Thanksgiving evening, after having dinner and hanging out with some of the family, I really needed a few cocktails. So after dinner was done, I made a beeline to my favorite bar, which opened on time. And one of my favorite guys working there, we were chatting, of course, and he asked me how it was at Thanksgiving dinner, and I was laying out some of the tedious parts of it, and I just happened to let slip the name of my hometown. Well, one of the guys who used to work at this bar, he was there with his boyfriend, and I noticed his reaction to me when I said the name of my hometown. Remember that in the stories I tell, the names are changed to protect the guilty, the innocent, and the satisfied. So we'll call him Jerry. Jerry's reaction struck me as, just a bit of a surprise. And he just called out to me, "Alan, where did you say you're from?" And I told him, again, the name of the town. And he said, "My boyfriend is from the town just south of there." And I was like, "Really?" And he goes, "He teaches at the school. In fact, his father was a teacher at the high school." And I was like, "What was his name?" And he tells me his name. And I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, he was a teacher there when I was in high school. I never had him as a teacher, but I was very much aware of him." Well, Jerry's boyfriend, we'll call him Todd, this was his son. And I'm like, "Oh God, Jesus, I am really old." Todd and I struck up a conversation about the high school and some of the teachers. I know I've mentioned several of them in the past and some of the things that they did. And one of them, let's just call him Mr. Adcock, which I think is what I've used before for this particular teacher. Todd had mentioned him and said, "Do you remember him?" And I couldn't help myself. I just said, "Yeah, I remember him. How could I not remember him?" I had him in both science and biology, and he would sit up on his desk that was a lab table and literally play with himself throughout his lectures. 2 or 3 times a week he would do that. And Todd just looked at me and grinned. He says, "Yeah, I've heard that from other people, that he couldn't leave his crotch alone." And I was like, that's an understatement.
This guy was good.
Well, in this back and forth, Todd's boyfriend, Jerry, who I knew from when he worked at the bar, he just said, "Isn't it something how small the world really is? What were the odds that you two would meet each other and you're from the same area?" You got to think there is something to that, isn't it? That a town 60 miles away from the city in which I live, where I'm from, this man's that I just met, his family is from there too. I mean, it's really rare from the area I'm from, because people in the area that I'm from usually go to a different city that they feel is closer than the one that I live in. I disagree with that, but you know what? That's just a fact. Use it however you want to. But it did strike that chord with me again, is that it was interesting and fun talking to Todd about Mr. Adcock and other male teachers and their behaviors. And he talked about how he was treated now. And it's not really changed much from my years living there. But he said that, you're tolerated, if not accepted. You're not really bashed or made fun of or called a sinner and all that anymore. It's not really talked about, but you're tolerated. That doesn't surprise me. Coming from that area, you'll see more Confederate flags than you do American flags. Everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of the people there are absolute hypocrites. They'll invoke religion to bash gay people while they're committing every sin under the Ten Commandments and every sin that's possible in the abominations in Leviticus and pretend like it's okay for them, it's just wrong for everybody else. That's not changed. But it really was just another striking moment in life that really did, actually, believe it or not, cheer me up a little bit. Now, my bartender, Jeff, he knows how to command his customers. He is a performer. He's a great bartender, but he puts on a show. He is over the top. He is funny and confident, and he is masculine. And there is just this charisma that he has that has made me attracted to him for a decade, if not longer. And I think he knew how to tune in to what we were talking about to kind of help the conversation along. He is that good at commanding his stage, his performance for that night. And I think a lot of other bartenders could learn a lot from him. But I know that it's also draining to be on performance every night that you're working. And especially since he is engaged to a woman. He's never come out and absolutely said he's straight, but pretty sure he's, 90% or so at least. But I have to appreciate him for kind of helping keep the moment going and the conversation going. It was a fascinating time and a great release after the tension of Thanksgiving dinner with my family. To be honest, that's what I go to the bar for. It's not just about getting drunk or drinking. It is escapism. For me, I don't know if it is for everyone else, but I go there to have a good time, to enjoy conversation, to flirt with hot men, to flirt with my bartender. I'm getting ready to go to happy hour again this evening. It'll be one of my bestest friends that's working, and I can't wait to see him because I haven't seen him in over a week, and he is just terrific. I've known him for many years. He is considered our town's oldest twink, if you want to believe that. But actually, John, aside from being a really cute guy, he is known for something else. He's known for having one of the biggest hogs in his pants that the world has ever seen. Holy moly, it is ooh la la impressive. That is some prime pork sausage going on down there. His boyfriend, I'm sure, is enjoying it every chance he gets. Absolutely yums. I'm just saying. Golly bum, that is worth the cholesterol. And it is the only type of meat I eat now. Holy shit, I think that shot of Jaeger went straight to my vagina.
What?
Oh my God.
Some of you that are listening to this episode, I know I'll see you tonight at happy hour. So please don't tell John what I said, because I'll do it myself. Yeah, and he'll slap me upside the head and we'll have more fun that way. I am hoping for some hot men's to come up in the house tonight. There were 2 guys last night from Texas. They were a couple, and that one, he did give me that look. The look of consideration. It's like, should I give him the eye twitch to follow me into the men's room, or maybe out to the patio where we would get frostbite and things would turn blue, and not in a good way? But he didn't. I just could tell that there was a consideration, a possibility that could happen. And I would have considered it last night. Jeff and I had done a few shots of Jaeger last night, and we did that in honor of our friends that have passed. But it can put you in a really good mood, even though it tastes like cough syrup, and not a good kind. Jesus. Trying to work the conversation back to where we started, Todd, from my hometown area, when he come over just to chat for a couple of minutes, I absorbed how he looked. Very handsome, very attractive, and I can see what Jerry sees in him. He just reminded me of the stereotypical type of man from my hometown area, almost a cowboyish type with a little bit of a belly, very bearish, very cute, very nice. And yeah, I would say he's my type, though I would never, ever go for something like that because I care too much for Jerry and would not ever want to damage my relationship there. But it surprised me. Todd told me that he takes Jerry with him to church where he lives. And I might should say this, Todd and Jerry are an interracial couple as well. And I'll tell you this, for as bad as gay people are treated in parts of Tennessee, I can promise you someone who is black or Latino or of any other country, you can be treated very, very badly. Racism is alive and well in many parts of Tennessee, and it's backed up by the Republican-controlled government of the state as well. But yeah, Jerry and Todd, both hot, both delicious. I can see them going at it, and I would probably pay to watch. Hell's bells, yes. I just made that really dirty, didn't I? But I was talking about John's dick earlier as well, so, oh, God. That needs a display in the Louvre in Paris, I believe. Oh, his dong. That's what I'm talking about, sorry. The Jaeger is really starting to get to the ovaries, too. I know, you're like, what the fuck? What the hell? Alan, get your act together. But do you really want me to? I think you all tune in because you like the train wreck that this show is, sometimes. Yeah, I get my points across, but, you know, I'm glad we're having fun. We should always have fun. Oh, I need to learn a lesson, too. I wore a black pullover for Thanksgiving dinner, and if you have a white beard, do you know how much hair comes out just on its own? It literally looked like I had a snowfall on my pullover, so much so that I was dusting it off every fucking 5 seconds or so and become so self-conscious of it that I just did it without even thinking. And everybody was looking at me like, what is wrong with him? I guess they thought I was a psycho. They should have already known that, though, shouldn't they have? But it's just funny how it only seems to happen when I'm around them. I'll wear a black shirt tonight, and it won't show up. So, oh, duh. I guess that means that it's some sort of psychological thing that's manifesting in a physical way. I'm working myself up in so much of a tizzy that it's making my hair fall out. That makes sense and is really kind of sad, isn't it? Jesus. It's strange to me that talking with Todd about our hometown and our high school, how for that brief time, I did have a sense of nostalgia and a smile on my face and remembering some of the things that happened back then that weren't so bad. I wonder why our minds do that. There is no way in hell I would ever move back there to that godforsaken place, even though they think that they're heaven on earth. I just couldn't do it. Yes, it's a beautiful area. The forest, the farmland, the hills, the fields of corn and wheat, all beautiful. The lakes, everything. But that's just a natural disguise to the people and all of their fucking stupidity when it comes to their homophobia, their racism, their bigotry. No matter how much you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a fucking pig, right? Right. Maybe that's because we just wish our hometown, the place we grew up, was an ideal place, was the magical place that we wanted it to be. And perhaps that's what I do, and maybe we all do it, is that we cling to these tiny tidbits of good things that happened to try to romanticize and perhaps reshape history, even though the minute I get away from that area and get away from a discussion about it, all the real things that happen, the horrible things that happen, all come crashing back. And it looks just like a demonic place to me once again. just part of the characteristics of being a human, isn't it? We want things to be ideal, perfect, and we will perhaps alter our history to try to make that be true. I think that's just human, though. There's no blame or anything. I guess the only thing that I would worry about is that I would convince myself that my hometown is a place worthy of me living, and then getting there and realizing that it's the same god-awful place it always was. What do you do then? You certainly don't want to stay at a place that people hate you and could hurt you. So I need to maybe romanticize the wonderful people that I had met throughout my life there, but not the place as a whole. For every good person that I know from that area, there are at least a dozen who are horrible. That's why I live in the city. It really is. Despite everything, as a gay man, I am by far safer in the city that I live in than I would ever be in one of the towns outside of the city limits. Could you imagine what they would do to me in my hometown if they knew that I was the one behind Alan After Dark? Holy shit. I can picture the torches and surrounding the house and burning me alive inside. They would do something like that because I am the very antithesis of what they want everybody to believe they are. I'm the one shining the light on all their little secrets and all of their hidden agendas. I would think, even though I believe that Alan After Dark, it's really just about me and my escapades, they would deem it a threat to their community. And they would try to have it banned. They really would. And they might succeed. But I'm not going away. I kind of enjoy being a thorn in their side. But yeah, that's not the purpose of my podcast. We'll just call that gravy on top. I'll paraphrase what Madonna, the Queen of Pop, once said years ago. I know I'm not the best podcaster. I know I'm not the best speaker. And I'm not really interested in that. I'm interested in pushing people's buttons. And speaking of that, I hope there's some fresh dick at the bar tonight. That is on the agenda. BJ's Anonymous. Holla. I also find it fascinating, especially at happy hours on different days, how different the crowds can be and how different the mood will be. Like, I know on a Friday night, the party is just going to be absolutely a blast. I know several people who will be there and we just bring the party. But there's other nights that I've been there where hardly anyone even knew who I was. And I would blend in with the crowd and realize that it was a totally different dynamic, a totally different mood. I guess there's nights when you can tell. Well, I'll give you an example. Back in the good old days when you used to have strippers that come to the clubs. And when it's male strippers with a female audience and a gay audience, it can be quite festive and fun and wild and exciting. But one time at one of the clubs that I went to, they had female strippers that were oriented for straight men. And the mood was so thick and heavy. You could feel this sexual tension that was quite uncomfortable. It was really unusual. It was an unusual experience. I just like, well, I have never felt a tension like this before. I guess the straight men with these beautiful women stripping down as much as they could, not totally naked, they were hot for it. They were hard for it. That you could feel the testosterone and the pheromones, all of it boiling out of their skin, and it was filling the whole club. And I guess sometimes when it was strippers for gay men, you could feel some of that, but there was still a lot of the fun, the teasing, the flirtation. It didn't feel as heavy as that did. Not that I was totally uncomfortable with it. It was just something different that I was not used to. And I think a lot of the gay guys that were at the club, we were kind of like on pins and needles, not knowing how we should react because of these straight men who were in our midst, who were behaving in this very aggressive way, but not showing it. You could just sense it. I guess it's the way it feels like in prison with some of these guys that have got all this pent up sexual energy and will assault men for their own sexual gratification. That's kind of what it felt like. I'm getting way off the topic there, but it's interesting at happy hour that certain people can bring the fun. Not only the bartender, but the people that are there. And there are people that can totally bring it completely down to where it's so depressing. But it's rare that a Friday is depressing. I've been on other nights when it's really heavy like that and tedious. And if you get a couple of gay Republicans in a bar, oh my God, shit hits the fan almost every time. But that night at the club, when it was female strippers geared toward straight men, you might have thought that a lot of us gay guys would have been giving blowjobs to these straight guys in the men's room. But no, that's not the case. You did not know what their reaction was going to be, so you were afraid to even offer any kind of flirtation. They would have to initiate all of it before you would even risk something like that with people you don't know in an environment that has been overly sexualized for them toward women, not toward men. So it didn't become a fun-filled circus of BJs and hand jobs in the men's room that night. We were all too afraid to risk it. But y'all know me. Had the opportunity arose, I'd have been down on that thing faster than you can say, BJ. I'm sorry I couldn't come up with anything funny there, so I'll fuck off, all of you. I try my best, okay? Don't make me get another shot of Jaeger. You'll be disconnecting and unsubscribing to this podcast. But why would you do that when you know it's going to be a train wreck all the time? Too much fun, right? Too much fun. But hopefully, if you're driving in the car and listening to me, you're not drinking. Get a damn Uber, okay? Or a Lyft, or find a guy to take you home, or wherever you want to go. Ride the punane. Is that what that guy says in that Madonna music video? I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out. And you all know I like straight guys, right? We've talked about that before. So you would have thought that that night with the female strippers would have been a night in paradise for me. But it wasn't. I think I did blow one of the bartenders who was straight that night. There were so many nights, though, that happened. Yeah, I'm bragging. Eat your heart out, bitches. Jealous much? But Jesus. Oh, sorry, that was a Diet Pepsi. Sorry about that. The idea of going back home and living there, that is the subject of many of my nightmarish dreams. I don't know how much you all dream, but I dream a lot. And of course, I don't know if this is actually correct, but from what I understand, we all dream all the time, but the ones you remember are when you wake up throughout the night. As somebody who doesn't sleep very much, that happens all the time. So I tend to at least remember parts of the dreams. I don't remember all of them. I'll wake up and think, I need to remember that dream. And of course, when I wake up in the morning, I don't remember it. A lot of the dreams that I have involve me, once again, living back home, understanding that I have a home to live in the city, and I feel this desperation to get back to my actual home. It does feel like a nightmare, the sense of dread and this ominous feeling about being trapped in a hometown that doesn't really want me there, if we're being honest about the whole damn thing. Oh, this Diet Pepsi's damn good today. But I've been having some very, very disturbing dreams like that, and I want to do an entire episode on dreams, so I don't want to get on that subject too much here, because there's a lot we could talk about in that subject matter. So, having said all this mumbo-jumbo, jambalaya, crapola today, I guess we need to wrap it up, don't we? But it doesn't feel like an ending just yet, does it? For some reason. I wonder why that is. Could it be just all the stress that we're all feeling and just all of us seeking ways to escape from some of this oncoming nightmares that are going to fall upon us like vultures of some kind? I think when I dwell on this podcast and when I'm thinking of things to talk about, I guess I forget to tell all of you that this really has been very therapeutic for me. It is almost like confessional. I wonder, is this how y'all Catholics feel after you've talked to your priest in the confessional? Now, I said confessional, not glory hole. Okay, let's just get that straight right now. But I feel sometimes that it must be the same kind of feeling, this cathartic feeling that I have in expressing myself through this podcast. It's like all of you are my priests, and I feel forgiven for something that I didn't even ask for forgiveness for. So actually, what the fuck? I don't even know what I meant by that. Oh, I guess I was just trying to make a comparison. Jesus, happy hour can't get here soon enough. Lord, where is the vodka? Thank you for chilling with me for a little while today on Alan After Dark. I hope you've had fun and have been entertained, and I hope you have a boner or aroused in whatever way you get aroused. Remember, take life by the balls and be real. We'll see you soon.